promise of blue sky. I think I'll head up the hill. It's worth getting a little extra height just to see these snow clouds that are coming in. Look at that. Oh, isn't that amazing? Big anvil shape. They've just been coming in from the North Sea and dumping all this. Panting. I've been up here once already today, but I wasn't getting that view. When I was up here, I was in cloud. That's why I went down into these trees to take a bit of shelter from the snow shower that had come down. Oh. Oh dear me. This is the Howard Fife, this big flat farmland in between these hills and the North of Fife here, and these ones here which I'm standing on, which is the Lomond Hills, which goes all the way up to West Lomond, which is just in the cloud over there. But you can see how just a bit of altitude makes such a difference. There's snow over there, there's snow here, but there's nothing on these big flat plains. It's been an amazing run of weather. One of the last vlogs I did was at Maspy Den when the waterfall was frozen, and I was saying how cold the beginning of March had been. And this is now the 20th of March, it's a spring equinox, and it doesn't look like it. But then I've seen a few people talking and saying asking what on earth the weather's doing, because it's usually warm this time of year, and it was last year. This time last year it was 23 degrees in Scotland, which was record breaking for March. It can be warm, it can be cold, that's just the nature of spring. It's not always warm. Certainly the sun's warm, so maybe it's all in your head, you feel warm. You've got memories of being warm in March and April because the sun's really warm by then. But really, at this time of year, the air over the Arctic is still so cold, and it's never far away. It's always lurking, ready to spoil everyone's funds and spoil everyone's fun and extinguish their barbecues. But even though spring is notoriously fickle and you get all kinds of weathers, this cold that we're having now is quite extraordinary, and I've heard people making noises saying that it's possibly going to be the coldest March in 40 years or so, once all the figures come in at the end of the month. So it is impressive. Snow's not unusual, but the length and depth of this cold is quite exceptional. It doesn't feel like March, it doesn't feel like spring, it does feel more like winter. And I think, I don't know if the Met Office has said, other forecasters have said how this month is already colder than December or January this winter, so it's the sting in winter's tail when we all thought it was over. Personally, I don't mind. Just want to get my breath back a bit. Show you that's the village of Falkland down there, old village, and this is the Falkland estate. The House of Falkland's nestled in here, and Falkland Palace is over there somewhere. It was an old hunting ground, I think, for the Stuart kings, and it's always struck me as a strange place to build a palace, a strange place for a village, because in winter the sun is behind this flipping great big thing, East Lomond, Falkland Hill. The sun's over there, and it just casts this enormous shadow like this big curve, and it's cold and shadowy and dark down there all the way through the winter, and it barely gets the sunlight. And I always thought, well, why on earth would you build a house there? Just sort of nudge it out into the open a bit more. I can only imagine that the first stone that was laid was the first person with their shovel dug the first hole when it was summer, and everyone was there thinking, oh, sunshine, this will be a lovely spot to build a house. And then winter came, and I thought, well, we've gone too far along now to actually do it somewhere else. I suppose we're stuck with it. It's very pretty, but it is in the dark in winter. It's funny how the chance to get a good photograph is such a good motivator for going uphill. My feet going on, rushing up, panting. So I want to get the photo while the sun's still out and before my hands freeze. Well, looks like I'm going to get to the top and not get the photo because the clouds dissipated now. Still, the sun's going to come out in a bit by the looks of it. It's getting so much brighter. As the sun's coming out. Oh, such a beautiful light. Got white, tinged with yellow, and it's sort of bluey purpley over here. Oh, it's amazing. Well, it's the next day. It's tomorrow, essentially. I was approaching the top of East Lomond yesterday when that nice light was happening, and then my battery ran down, so I wasn't able to show you the view from the top. I came up here to try and finish the job, but it's not really the weather for filming because the wind's going to play havoc with the microphone. So I'll give you a quick glimpse of what I'm sitting in. Nice. I do sometimes ask myself whether this is fun. Yep, it's still fun. No, I was saying in a blog, one of the first ones I did actually was up in by Bridge of Orkney, and I found evidence of avalanche terrain essentially. This is windslab. See that? The whole thing just comes off. That's because this much here has been blown here by the wind on top of what was already here yesterday. That stuff you can see blowing over there is being deposited on the side of the hill, and that's it. And it doesn't bond with what's already there, and if it goes, that's how it happens. That's what I was saying in the snowshoeing in Fife blog I did a couple of months ago, that East Lomond itself is potentially dangerous because it might not be one of the higher hills in the Highlands way over there, but that, as you just saw then, the wind slab still forms. It can form on any slope where you're getting the wind blowing snow like it is today. But the whole feel of the place has changed. It's amazing how it can happen like that, how it was quite benign yesterday, and then the wind picks up like it has, and there's been a little bit more snow overnight, and everything moves around. You can't think of snow as being just an object that gets deposited and then it just stays there. It's not. It's like if you just dump sand on top of a hill. If the wind comes along, blows it around all over the place, you think of sand dunes. It's exactly the same principle. And so all the snow on this side, on the western side of the hill, is much deeper today, and it's starting to be formed into all these drifts and cornices. You can see how it's still blowing around over there. It's still a nice view though. Right, well, I just wanted to come up to finish the blog off properly rather than it just cutting out because of my battery, so I think I've done that. Look at this, just as the clouds moving, this light's moving across the landscape. Just one sole little bit of light from the sun up there. It's lovely. It's amazing how much deeper the snow is on this side of the hill compared to yesterday now. So lucky to have this here.